I want to talk to you about livestock guardian dogs. We're going to do that outside. All right, if you have livestock guardian dogs and you live somewhere on social media, somebody at some point has probably told you, don't raise your dogs inside, you're going to ruin them. And on the opposite side of that, somebody has likely said, don't raise your dogs outside, you're going to ruin them. Which side is right? Stick around to find out. We're going to go ahead and cover that in this video. And while you're watching, I want you to keep in mind any questions that you have or any thoughts that come up. And if you can, leave them in the comments. This conversation needs to be had so that people can learn from our mistakes, the mistakes we've made, the mistakes that maybe you have made, to help keep these dogs out of the shelters so that we know the things not to do and the things that we can do to have the most success. Livestock guardian dog history dates back thousands of years to the development of animal husbandry. Livestock guardian dogs were selectively bred to protect livestock from predators like bears, wolves, and big cats. It's hard to know the exact history, but in Europe, LGDs were used in the Middle Ages and onwards, particularly in regions where livestock farming was prevalent. At that time, shepherds spent significant amounts of time with their flock and with their dogs. In areas of heavy predation, livestock guardian dogs allowed time for the shepherds to be able to sleep while the dogs kept watch. Shepherds and the dogs bonded with each other as they worked together as a team to keep their livestock safe. They spent hours upon hours with each other every day, far more than we would ever spend with them nowadays. In the 1970s, the U.S. began to see the use of livestock guardian dogs on small ranches and homesteads grow in order to protect the livestock from predation. At that time, the history of livestock guardian dogs was either ignored or there just wasn't any information available to them at the time. They didn't have the internet like we do today. Not that everything on the internet is true. But clearly, there's a general lack of understanding among many farmers about the behaviors and needs of LGDs. Some farmers mistakenly believed that livestock guardian dogs would just naturally know what to do, that they would know how to guard livestock without any training or socialization. This misunderstanding led to situations where LGD were isolated from any human contact or improperly socialized with the livestock. We know now that that often results in behavior issues and ineffective guarding. So what should you do? Do the best that you can for your situation. Do you have an established, well-trained LGD? Then use them. This is ours, and we were unable to use him. We received him as an adult, and he was just too harsh. He doesn't measure his corrections very well, at least as well as we'd like. Hey, bud. I know. He doesn't listen to us really well. I think short of setting up a sleeping bag and sleeping out with him, short of doing that, I don't think we're going to ever get to the point where we can bond with him like we'd like to. He also hates chickens. So whether you're using an established guardian or not, it is important for you to form a strong bond with your guardian dog. The most expedient way to do that, probably going to guess what I'm going to say, but it would be inside with you. Think back to the history that I told. Shepherds spent a lot of time with their guardian dogs, and so keep that in mind as we talk through this. Take them inside with you for as long as you possibly can, for the first year or two, whatever that might be, 6 months, a year, 2 years, for as long as you can. Raise them inside with you, take them outside with you when you are taking care of the livestock. I won't tell you how long to do that for. Part of the reasoning for the longer time period is that a 1-year-old is probably is not as ready to take on a predator or defend themselves as, say, the goat's eating the tripod. Not as ready at a year old as they are at 18 months or 2 years old. They're just not as developed. They're not done growing. They're still kind of awkward. So that's part of the reasoning. You should use your best judgment in that area. You see her? Now, what your dog gets from being raised in the house with you is the desire to look to you when you're around. And if you tell him to do something, there's a much better chance that he does it than, say, a dog like Bear over here, who was not raised inside and definitely not with us. He came to us when he was 5 years old. So he's not the greatest example. Bear, he'll come now because he wants pets. But if he were in the middle of, say, making a decision on what to guard against or say go after our chickens, he's not going to listen. He zones in on those chickens and he goes after them. Hey, buddy. Hi. I'm actually kind of surprised he came, but he does want pets. All the goats are at the bottom of the tripod right now. But you want your dogs looking to you for guidance when you're around, if needed. So, and by that I don't mean they won't make a decision on their own. Oh, there's a coyote. Well, I'm not going to do anything until my owner says to do something. It's more, okay, I want to go after this chicken. I'm going to go after this chicken. Oh, I hear my owner calling me. I'm going to stop because she knows what's best. That's what you want. You want them saying, okay, well, she's telling me it's okay, so I'm going to leave it alone. So they'll still do just fine when you're not around. But when you need them to listen, you want them to listen. And that's what bonding with them and having a good bond with them is going to do. He's staring at the chickens right now. Bringing them inside will also more readily allow you to bring them. Hey guys, I think I'm going to move. Bringing them inside will also more readily give you the ability to crate train them. This doesn't mean leaving them in a crate for 8 hours while you go to work. This means giving them food, giving them treats when they're in the crate, feeding them in their crate, and making their experience in the crate as good a one as possible so that in an emergency they'll happily walk right in. Bear, it's okay. So we feed our dogs at least part of the time in the crate. To them, crate equals food or treats. We also take them in the car several times a year. Good things happen in the crate and the car. And if you ever have to rush to pack anybody up, you don't have to spend precious minutes trying to coax your dog into a crate or into a vehicle. Now, most people that don't ascribe to this thought believe that by bringing your livestock guardian dog in, you're going to ruin your dog, that they'll be unable to do their job or that they'll do their job in a subpar way. That's not true. Your dog will be perfectly capable of moving from a house to a pasture and back again, at least in their earlier years. When they're older, you won't even be bringing them inside the house, most likely. Maybe you will. It depends really on what you have going on. But our dogs at this point only come in, and not all of them, but the ones that do only come in to eat. If you take the time and teach them how to behave around stock, make those experiences good ones, and allow them the time they need to bond, both with the livestock and with you, you'll develop an incredibly well-rounded and versatile dog. Artemis is at my feet, and if you've seen any of our other videos, you'll know why Bear back there is barking at us. He doesn't like her very much. I understand not everyone has a kind of operation that they can train each individual dog in that manner. And I'm not speaking to those at a larger scale. We're not a large scale operation, and so I really can't speak to that. I'm talking to the small to moderate sized homesteads or livestock farmers who has enough of a load to justify dogs, but also small enough of a load to be able to train their dog with this method. So if you're asking yourself whether you should raise your dog fully inside or fully outside, rest assured that if you bring them in, even just occasionally, you're not going to ruin them. They'll be more than fine. If you put more work into it, I don't know what they heard. If you put more work into it and more time teaching the ins and outs of the house, as much as you do the ins and outs of the livestock, you'll wind up with a rock solid, versatile dog. That's Samson over there in the distance, and Artemis is still here at my feet. Keep in mind the dog's developmental milestones as they grow from a pup to a 2-year-old mature dog, and work with those milestones, not against them, as you grow him or her into the fantastic guardian dog that they're sure to be. If this resonated with you, please hit the like button. And if you're interested in more, hit that subscribe button to see more new videos. Thanks for watching. He's taking my paper. Samson! Samson! LGD history dates... Scratch that. This misunderstanding, particularly as they go from a prop, as they grow from a prop, and with work into the